Today we're doing two NFL player props here on PrizePicks. For Monday Night Football, we got the Lions versus the 49ers here Monday, December 30th, almost the new year. Before we get started, you guys take a look in the description below, hop into the Discord. $9.30 per month. It's where I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks. Currently doing a promo right now, 20% off your first month if you are a first-time member in the Discord. Again, link in the description below for that. I also want to mention I'm not a gambling expert. It's not financial advice. Simply displays I'm personally looking at making, hopefully giving you guys some insight and analysis to then make your own player prop decisions here. Again, no one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. But let's get right into it, you guys. We got Lions, 49ers here. Monday Night Football. Playoff implications definitely for the 49ers or for the Detroit Lions. I think they need to win this game for a showdown next Sunday night, I believe, versus the Vikings for a chance to win that division. But 50.5 game total. Lions are going to be 3.5-point favorites here on the road, which is an interesting line. But again, the Niners not really having much to play for. I'm assuming they're going to go out and try to put their best foot forward as far as win this game. It is a home game, right, to kind of finish the season strong and win a football game in front of their home fans. So I like this game a lot. Let's not waste any time, guys. Let's just get right into it. So the first play I'm looking at here is going to be Ricky Pearsall. I like his over 4.5 fantasy score. I also really do like his over 3.5 reception targets, but I do think if he sees 4 targets, he should be able to clear 4.5 fantasy score. And I do think 3.5 reception targets line will probably bump. When we look at Ricky Pearsall over on Outlier, hold on, let's see if this will load for me yet. On Outlier, over 1.5 catches on Outlier. Well, on PrizePicks, 1.5 catches is a green goblin. But the odds for 1.5 receptions for Ricky Pearsall is sitting right now at BetMGM at -185. On DraftKings at -190. You can see here Caesars -194. So heavily favored, you guys, for 2 catches. Obviously, the Detroit Lions are a pass funnel defense. Teams really can pass the ball on the Lions just because their run defense is so elite. They kind of have to pass the ball, and also because the Lions' offense is so strong. They're usually scoring, which causes teams to throw the ball because they are trailing. But like I said, pretty much a lock in my opinion, or not a lock, but very high odds here for him to get 2 catches in this game. And we look at Ricky Pearsall this season when he has had two catches, or at least 2 catches: 5.1 fantasy, 7.7 fantasy, 17.3 fantasy, and 11.7 PPR fantasy points. Back-to-back weeks here now, 4 targets in back-to-back games, which tells me they're really trying to incorporate him in the offense. We know Christian McCaffrey's out. We know Brandon Ayuk is out. And just last week, Ricky Pearsall did see 72% snap share, right? Really seeing that wide receiver 3, a significant snap count in this offense. And I think, as they do head towards the end of the season with nothing left to play for, I see no reason for them not to get Ricky Pearsall involved in this game. Coming off of 7.7 PPR fantasy points here at Miami, back here at home, or like I said, 4 catches for 37 yards last week. And he's had some decent games, right? He had that run earlier in the season, 5.1 fantasy, 11.7, and 17.3. So this is a player like Ricky Pearsall was a first-round pick by the 49ers. We know Brandon Ayuk is gone or out for the season. If he didn't have that incident earlier in the season, he probably not missing all these games and just that much more acclimated, right, to this offense. But no reason for him not to see 4.5 fantasy. I would play this at 5, honestly. If it does bump by the time you are watching this video, I would play this at 5. I just think they're going to be scheming for him to get ready as they head into next season, right? He was their first-round pick, like I said. And 4.5 is just such a low number. We look at wide receivers' fantasy score game log this season versus the Lions with 2+ catches. And wide receivers this season versus the Lions when they've caught 2 footballs, 23, at least 23. It might be even more, honestly, because these dates don't really show the full picture. But 23 different wide receivers have had at least 4.5 PPR fantasy points against the Lions with 2+ catches. Great spot for Ricky Pearsall. Buy low, in my opinion. Again, I would play this at 5 if it does bump. The second play here is going to be a first half line. Fantasy score, it's going to be Jahmyr Gibbs over 10. I think this is a buy low spot as well. We saw last week Jahmyr Gibbs in his first game without David Montgomery, just as the sole lead back of this offense. He had 20.9 first half fantasy points against the Chicago Bears. Now, Chicago Bears' run defense is very poor, but he still had 20.9 fantasy points in that matchup. But the San Francisco 49ers against running backs over the last 8 weeks, I mean, they're allowing the fourth most fantasy points to the running back position. And a lot of that comes from Devon A-Chain last week just going absolutely crazy. He had 31 fantasy points. Raheem Mostert 6.6. This is full game, by the way. Before that, we saw Kyron Williams 13.2. James Cook had 19. Ray Davis had 13.7. So they combined for 22 fantasy points. Josh Jacobs 28.6. So literally, like, the running backs, besides the Bears, which again, that game was just a super weird game. The Bears had no shot at even establishing a run game. We've seen running backs do well. And last week, Devon Achane, dual threat type of running back, 6 catches, 70 receiving yards, 7 targets. We know Jahmyr Gibbs is a dual threat running back, right? He's an insane pass catcher out of the backfield. We just look at last week, right? First half rushing yards. He had 79 first half rushing yards against the Bears, but because this is PPR scoring, we'd like to look at that first half upside. Last week, in the first half, he had 3 catches. In the first half, again, this is outlier, by the way. Again, over 1.5 first half catches. Odds currently is -200. Again, it's on underdog, but the multiplier is going to be insane. Total catches over 3.5. He's at -148. So again, first half receiving yards as well. 40 receiving yards in the first half, right? 40 receiving yards, a couple catches. That's already 6 points. Obviously, he does have an insane touchdown upside. If we take a look here at his TDs, like to score a touchdown tomorrow, Jahmyr Gibbs sitting here at -235 on DraftKings. 49ers, right? 4th most total touchdowns against in the NFL this season, as far as I believe maybe 2 running backs. But like I said, it's a strong spot. 49ers fourth most fantasy points to the running back position. Jahmyr Gibbs 20.9 first half fantasy points last week. Again, pass catching back. This is PPR scoring. 2-3 catches in the first half. If he scores a touchdown, this is super free in my opinion. But I like this spot here a lot for Jahmyr Gibbs. Obviously high game total as well. Vegas projecting a ton of points in this one, 50.5 game total. I think Jahmyr Gibbs gets on the board in the first half. So 2 player props for this YouTube video: Pearsall over 4.5 fantasy full game, and then Jahmyr Gibbs over 10 fantasy score for the first half. So again, you guys, please drop a like on this video, hit that subscribe button. You guys check out all the links in the description below. Join the Discord, and as always, let's cash.